Evening and welcome to the news today. It's Sunday night and you're joining us live from the Jaffa Port. Our top story tonight, millions of people began digging out today from a massive blizzard that brought Washington, New York and other northeastern U.S. cities to a standstill, and which killed at least 19 people in several states. I-24 News correspondent Shanina Khshoni reports.
Extreme cold weather has hit the northern hemisphere, with snow piling up in the east coast of the United States and record low temperatures across parts of China.
Who doesn't like snow? And I like how just being out here, I'm with good friends, and it's a nice break from the usual routine around here.
Washington is covered in white after the snowstorm Jonas hit the area and paralyzed roads and airports.
It takes a lot of energy when you're shoveling this amount of snow. If you try to do it all at once, it's really dangerous, so you have to take many breaks.
Nearly 60 centimeters of snow fell overnight on the suburbs of D.C. In Philadelphia, the famous Rocky Steps turned into Rocky Slide. On Saturday, the storm unexpectedly gathered strength as it slammed into the New York metropolitan area. Accumulations of 60 to 71 centimeters of snow are expected in New York City, northern New Jersey, and western Long Island. The storm was the second biggest in New York City's history, and so far, at least 19 people have been killed in several states.
Travel bans in effect until you hear a specific message saying that it will end at a specific hour. It's very important for people to honor the travel ban until it is over.
From the east coast of the U.S. to the Far East, a strong cold air brought a rare snowfall to high mountains in Taiwan Saturday evening, attracting a large number of visitors to enjoy the beautiful winter scenery. Many visitors were seeing snow for the first time.
I'm very excited, and this is the first time ever I visited here since I was born. I feel it's very nice.
And while some people are admiring the view, others are using the cold weather to have some fun. China is not alone. Hong Kong is experiencing its coldest weather in nearly 60 years.
It's far too cold for me. Hong Kong's supposed to be warm. This is not Hong Kong.
Hundreds of firemen were dispatched to rescue hikers who had hoped to see snow but ended up stranded on the city's tallest mountain, according to local reports. 85 people were injured, with most suffering from hypothermia, the fire services department told local media. South Korea was also hit with a cold snap. In Seoul, the temperature dropped to minus 18 degrees Celsius, and a popular vacation spot of the south of the Korean peninsula recorded its biggest snowfall in 32 years. Amateur video shot by people at the airport showed a snowstorm hitting Jeju International Airport and passengers stuck in the lobby.
We finish our piece here in Jaffa. As you can see, the wind is very strong. We don't have a lot of rain today, only 8 millimeters of rain. We are expecting maybe more rain tomorrow, maybe hail, definitely not snow. The last time it was snowing in Tel Aviv, it was in 1950, but we do see a lot of heavy hail on the past few years, so we'll just have to wait and see. Goodbye for now from windy Jaffa.
Yes, and I'm joined now from Washington by Goodman, Channel 1 correspondent. Good evening. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Mr. Goodman, can you give us an update on the situation now in New York and in Washington? We know that at least in New York, the travel ban that has been so far in place was lifted earlier.
Right. Well, what we're seeing now is basically that the storm, this huge blizzard, is over. But now both cities in New York and Washington are trying to figure out how they dig themselves out of it. New York seems to be faster to adjust than D.C., and the travel ban has already been lifted, as you mentioned, and drivers are allowed to go out to the streets again. In Washington, D.C., the mayor and the police commanders are still calling on people to stay at home, not take their cars and not leave, because it will be a very prolonged effort to try and plow in the streets. They're starting slowly in downtown Washington. It will take weeks. It will take hours, maybe days, until they actually plow the neighborhoods surrounding the city. So right now, the nation's capital is pretty much at a standstill. People are at home, maybe enjoying the snow, maybe sledding outside, but no one can actually go to work or go to any business place because all those are closed. And I guess the main question right now is there any chance to open the federal government and the downtown offices by Monday morning, tomorrow in Washington time? Right now, just judging from what I'm seeing outside from my window, it doesn't seem as if that's going to happen.
Well, aside from day-to-day concerns, we know that one of the most worrying things were that several people in New York and in other cities were killed while trying to remove or shovel the snow. Can you tell us how authorities are communicating safety regulations to residents?
Right, definitely. We've seen about, estimates are about 20 casualties from this storm, many of them in car accidents, in some of hypothermia, but also a few cases in which people shoveling snow, and we're talking about huge amounts of snow that the region is not used to seeing, had heart attacks and suffered heart attacks because of this extended effort in the cold weather to dig themselves out of the snow. And what we're hearing from authorities is basically a call for people to take it easy, to go slowly while you're trying to shovel the snow away, to ask for help. Elderly people or people with heart problems are just asked to leave it alone, have a neighbor or a friend or even the emergency services come and help you, and don't rush your way out of it, because, as I said, it is a very intense effort, and we've already seen casualties because of it.
Yes, Nathan Goodman joining us from Washington. Please take care, and thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Yes, and from Washington, D.C. to New York City, where we're joined by I-24 News correspondent Shahar Peled. Shahar, good evening. Very nice to have you with us again.
Hi, Ayman. Great to have you.
Well, Shahar, we know that New York Governor Andrew Cuomo declared a state of emergency, as have 10 other state governors. What does that state of emergency mean for you as an NY resident?
Well, first of all, Ayman, New Yorkers woke up today to a very busy Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon, mainly shoveling snow as the snow removal operations are underway. If you can see behind me, the emergency is still around us, but most of the travel bans have been lifted. Streets are being now removed from snow, and the subway lines are back to operations, though on a modified schedule. But things are definitely starting to get back to normal as much as possible right now. Currently, as you can see, it's sunny outside, but it was indeed a monstrous storm, non-stop snowing all day yesterday. And as you mentioned, it's the second largest snowstorm in New York's history, with almost 27 inches of snow. That's 68 centimeters of snow, really burying the entire East Coast from New York to Washington, D.C. But it's great outside right now. It's about 1 degree Celsius, 34 degrees Fahrenheit. People are slowly coming out of to the streets, walking carefully, trying not to slip, and also having fun. I've seen many snowmen here across the Upper West Side in New York City. People with slides, people even on snowboards on the streets, strapped to their cars, enjoying the situation as much as possible. Although we've heard that at least 19 people have been killed across several states with weather-related car accidents and snow shoveling accidents, and 2 people died from hypothermia in Virginia. But at the moment, as far as we can see for this week, there's no more snow expected, and it's supposed to be sunny like this at least for the next 10 days.
Yes, well, it's sunnier here in Israel, so it might be time to consider joining us back in our I-24 News studios. Shahar Peled, thank you very much for being with us tonight.